Thank you for your interest in the IRWD Get Smart Water Saving Program and this workshop. This workshop prepares you to save water using WaterSage, OnPoint's weather-based irrigation controller, and explains why this is so important to our Southern California water supply. The workshop also includes a brief overview of irrigation best practices and explains your options for installation and setup of the controller. The main objective of the Get Smart program is, of course, to save water. Unfortunately, the past 4 years of drought has dramatically depleted our reservoirs and taken a huge toll on our groundwater and aquifers. One El Nino winter won't get us caught up, and there's the real possibility that drier conditions may become the new normal. As it turns out, you don't have to look farther than your own backyard to achieve significant water savings. Why? Because up to 50% of outdoor watering is wasted due to inefficient irrigation. That doesn't mean a hose is left on indefinitely, but rather that more water is being used than needed to keep the landscape healthy. And most households don't have time to become irrigation experts so they can optimize their daily watering. That's why the key component of the Get Smart program is a smart irrigation controller to automatically and efficiently manage your outdoor watering for you. The controller selected, WaterSage from OnPoint Ecosystems, saved around 30% in a similar program at Stanford, is easy to set up and use, and is EPA certified. Quickly touching on program responsibilities, Irvine Ranch Water District is funding this program and providing oversight. OnPoint is the controller supplier and is managing the program. Professional installation, if selected, is being offered through Imperial Technical Services out of Anaheim. As far as your responsibilities, we ask that you fix major irrigation issues prior to installing WaterSage, have a good Wi-Fi signal at the controller location, and install the controller within 3 weeks of this workshop. There will also be several brief email surveys over the next 12 months asking for your feedback to help us measure the effectiveness of the program and address any questions you may have. More information on these topics, including how to determine you have a good Wi-Fi signal and extend it if necessary, can be found at the Get Smart program homepage, qualification form, and frequently asked questions. Feel free to contact us about different Wi-Fi repeater and extender products as well. Before getting into the specifics of the WaterSage Smart Controller, let's briefly cover the main concepts of efficient irrigation. I think you'll be surprised at how obvious some of the ideas are once you're aware of them. First, plants use water, and the amount of water they use varies. The key to this variation is ET. No, not that ET, but evapotranspiration. Think of your landscape as a plant sitting in a glass of water. Every day, the amount of water in the glass drops due to evaporation from soil and plant surfaces, and transpiration, the water used by the plant. And the ET, or amount of water used by the plant, is constantly changing due to temperature, humidity, wind, and sunlight. One important takeaway is the amount of water needed by a plant varies throughout the year. And to keep plants healthy, the water used needs to be replaced by either irrigation or rainfall. Since it doesn't rain in California for much of the year, irrigation is required. Another important takeaway is that this variation in water use is not based on temperature alone. A plant uses significantly more water in July than October, even if both days are hot. Why? Because the amount of sunlight is significantly less in October, and sunlight affects ET. The last important takeaway is that not all plants require the same amount of water. As you can see here, if you are applying the same amount of water to the shrubs and lawn, you're wasting water. Because different plants have different water needs, a well-designed irrigation system divides the landscape into hydrozones, where each irrigation valve, zone or station on your controller, waters plants with similar water needs. The type of irrigation should be consistent across each zone to ensure the same amount of water is applied throughout that zone. For example, all spray nozzles in Zone 1 should have matching flow rates. The inline drip tubing in Zone 2, matching emitters and spacing. And the point drip, where you select the emitter color, should have emitters with the same color or gallons per hour. A controller then turns each valve on and off independently, while a smart weather-based irrigation controller saves significant water by automatically adjusting valve run times daily based on weather and landscape conditions. It saves water even if good hydrozone design is not employed, but not as much. WaterSage will help you save water by watering efficiently and helping to avoid runoff. Runoff often occurs because water is being applied faster than soil can absorb it. This is especially true on slopes. Applying water for a shorter period of time and letting it soak in before applying more water prevents most runoff situations. This is called cycle and soak and is a feature on the WaterSage controller. There are other things you can do to save water in addition to installing WaterSage. For example, it's also a good idea to replace conventional spray nozzles with more efficient multi-spray nozzles. Spray that looks like a mist is an inefficient use of water and can be fixed with pressure regulation. You may also notice that nozzles at the bottom of a hill continue to drain after the valve has turned off. This is easily prevented with a check valve at the sprinkler head. Other problems to look out for are broken nozzles and pipes and clogged or missing emitters. But most of us water early in the morning, too early to notice any issues. With WaterSage, you can easily turn on a valve anytime from your phone while standing next to the zone, making it much more convenient to observe how the system is operating. Now, let's get into how WaterSage, your new weather-based irrigation controller, works and how to use it. WaterSage not only saves water, but makes smart irrigation easy. The WaterSage solution consists of an irrigation controller and internet or cloud service called OnPoint. OnPoint collects daily weather from nearby weather stations and calculates an optimized irrigation schedule for each zone every day. OnPoint also allows easy access to the WaterSage controller from virtually anywhere using a smartphone, tablet, or computer. Before setting up and installing WaterSage, it's a good idea to take a picture of or write down the settings and zone locations of your current controller, as you may want to reference them in the future. To set up WaterSage, first connect it to your Wi-Fi network close to your router, then create an account and enter your zip code. A convenient setup wizard walks you through the process and is accessed on your browser at myonpoint.com/setup. Next, move the controller to the installation location. Mount it and attach the wires. Alternatively, with the existing controller in place, you can remove the WaterSage connectors, move the wires from your existing controller to the connectors, then remove your existing controller and mount WaterSage. Finally, reattach the connectors. Then, test each zone to make sure it's operating properly. After installation, configure WaterSage using the Landscape Wizard. Simply select the pictures, plant, sun, slope, soil, and irrigation, most closely matching each zone, and WaterSage recommends the peak total time for that zone and a maximum cycle time to avoid runoff. In this case, the zone is watering a lawn with partial shade, a bit of a slope, and clay soil. The sprinkler type is spray. Note the words zone, station, and valve are often interchangeable. The peak total time is for reference purposes and represents a typical water day in July, but actual watering will vary depending on weather and time of year. The cycle time is the maximum continuous time a zone can run before pausing to let the water soak in, and the soak time is the time that zone must wait before running another cycle. In this example, on a typical summer water day, Zone 1 needs to run for a total of 10 minutes. With cycle and soak, the controller stops the zone after 6 minutes, the maximum cycle time, waits 91 minutes for the water to soak in, then completes the run time in a second cycle of 4 minutes. Note, other zones will run during the Zone 1 soak time to minimize the time it takes to complete the schedule. In October, Zone 1 needs less water, and the run time of 6 minutes fits within one cycle. Therefore, no soak time is needed. When first setting up WaterSage, it's a good idea to compare the summer settings on your current controller to the peak total time. If there's a significant difference, adjust the peak time to a value closer to your existing controllers, and then reduce it in small increments while ensuring the landscape continues to look healthy. Alternatively, keep the wizard recommended time and monitor landscape health, adjusting the peak time up or down as needed. Looking at another example, shrubs instead of lawn, again simply select the pictures most closely matching the zone, and WaterSage once again recommends the peak runtime. In this case, the drip line is applying water slow enough so there is no runoff and cycle and soak is turned off. Once programmed, WaterSage will automatically adjust irrigation on a daily basis. Let's take a closer look at how it does this. First, the zone information we just programmed is used to define a plant root zone. Think of it as a glass with a plant in it. The glass represents the water holding capacity of the root zone, and the moisture balance, how much water is needed to fill the glass. Looking at day 1 of an irrigation schedule that waters every 3 days, water is applied by irrigation to fill the root zone. Day 1 also sees the plant using water through evapotranspiration. The plant uses more water on day 2, and the root zone is further depleted. Although the plant uses water on day 3, rainfall exceeds evapotranspiration, increasing water in the root zone. Day 4 is the next water day, and WaterSage applies only the amount of water needed to refill the root zone. So what will WaterSage do on a typical July water day for the previous example? At the beginning of the day, my OnPoint gets weather information and determines the total ET, or water loss, since the last water day, and notes there has been no precipitation. The ET of 0.6 inches, along with the landscape settings for each zone, are used to create an optimized irrigation schedule for all zones, including cycle and soak times. Because it's a typical July water day, WaterSage runs each zone the peak runtime. Now on this October water day, WaterSage goes through the same process, getting the ET and precipitation information. Then along with the landscape settings, it computes an optimized irrigation schedule. Even though it was sunny and hot since the last water day, ET in October is significantly less than July, and WaterSage waters less than half of the peak or July run times. WaterSage is making these adjustments automatically every day. And it's easy to use. Turn valves on and off manually from the convenience of your smartphone, run diagnostic tests to isolate wiring and valve issues, and on-screen help is available for any function. If you want to know more about what WaterSage has done and is planning to do, dig into the numerous reports on events, water use, both historical and forecasted, details on today's irrigation plan, and current root zone depletion levels. The water use report is also handy to check planned water times for the upcoming 2 weeks after initial setup or a zone configuration change. You will receive the following items in the WaterSage box: the controller, antenna, and power adapter, mounting screws and wall anchors for mounting to drywall, a screwdriver to secure the valve wires to the connector. The wire and wire cap are used when there is more than one common wire to connect to the controller. Simply twist the common wires with the included common extension wire, secure with the wire cap, and insert the other end of the extension wire into position 1 on the large connector. Valve wires are connected to the other connector positions, and the power adapter plugs into the far right empty connector location. The sensor positions on the left of the controller are not used. Even though the sensor positions are unused, several rain sensors are located throughout the Orange Park Acres community, and a signal will be sent to your controller to stop watering if it's raining. To enable this function, be sure to turn on the sensor from the web interface of the controller and set the rain sensor delay to 24 hours. As far as installation alternatives go, you can elect the do-it-yourself option, where you or your landscape professional will install and set up the controller, or for an additional charge, select Professional Installation from Imperial Technical Services. Details about what is included with professional installation are provided on the Get Smart homepage. Additional information can be found at the Get Smart program homepage and OnPoint Ecosystems website, including helpful videos on how to set up and use WaterSage. And please feel free to contact us with any questions or if you need more information. Thank you for your attention and for helping to save water to make our Southern California water supply sustainable into the future.